Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a testing video. So as you know, I've really been liking these Peloton classes, and Peloton actually has a collection of classes that you take over 2 weeks, and basically it's supposed to be an introduction to yoga. Now, some preface, I've done like 1 or 2 yoga classes in my life and I don't really understand it. Like, I feel like both times I was doing it, it was just like too easy and I didn't know what I was doing, basically. Like, I definitely think that it should have been harder, but since I didn't know what I was doing, it was just too easy and I wasn't a huge fan. But I know a lot of people are into it and I kind of like want to see what this is all about. Okay, so this program is 2 weeks long and they have things to do 5 out of the 7 days a week. So the first 2 classes today that they want to take you day 1 is 5 minutes basics cat and cow and 10-minute yoga flow. Not exactly sure what a yoga flow is, but we'll see. And the description for week 1 is, this week you'll begin by learning a foundational pose that, when sewn together with other poses, will become fundamental to your practice. You'll also try a number of beginner yoga flow classes to get to know our instructors better. Enjoy each step of this process. Namaste. So we'll see. I'm gonna start with this 5-minute basic cat and cow video now. Okay, the cat and cow class, just 5 minutes, just taught you like these 2 poses, which are pretty simple. You've seen them because you watched me do it. I felt like we probably didn't need 5 minutes to do that, but it was also like welcoming, and she gave a lot of like background information on these poses, which I guess can be helpful. So now we're gonna go into this 10-minute yoga flow and see what's up with that. Okay, so the yoga flow class was definitely harder than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't super hard because it was only 10 minutes, but basically you had to do a bunch of poses, which she just described very briefly. And I wonder if that's true for all yoga classes, because I don't know how you memorize all these different poses. But yeah, basically she explained a bunch of different poses. We did them. A lot of them I'm not very flexible, so they would like, I could definitely feel my legs already stretching. So it will be interesting if I become more flexible over the next 2 weeks. I probably will. I'm starting at a very, very low bar. And then we also needed like those yoga blocks that I've seen before, but I don't own them. And the only thing in reaching distance that was like a yoga block was these board games that are underneath this table. So I just used 2 board games. It was fine for now, but if I keep doing yoga, I'll obviously need the yoga blocks. Besides that, the first day was cool, 15 minutes, easy. We'll see how day 2 is tomorrow. It's the next day and I just woke up. I want to do the yoga classes before I go out for my run today. So today we have a 5-minute basics warrior 1 pose class and a 10-minute yoga flow chest openers. I'm a little bit sore because yesterday I did some exercises on the yoga mat, like planks and stuff, and I'm just kind of out of shape with that stuff, so we'll see if the yoga kind of loosens me up for the run. Let's get started. The warrior 5-minute class was definitely cooler than the cat and cow class yesterday. There's definitely more to do because you could like do it on both sides, like have your right foot leading and your left foot leading. So it actually felt like we were doing stuff the whole time. I feel like the cat and cow class, like, it's very simple, so they were just filling some time with the 5 minutes. But yeah, it was a good stretch and that was enjoyable. It was fun. So let's get on with this 10-minute yoga flow. That class was actually really nice. Like, it was very relaxing and it opened your chest out a lot, so like a lot of good stretches. I definitely need yoga blocks or something that's not board games. I definitely couldn't do the last stretch at the end correctly because the board games are not the correct size, but even then it felt like pretty good. And I think with yoga blocks it would feel really good. So this is definitely my favorite class so far, so hopefully it just keeps getting better from here. But definitely like day 2 more than day 1, so we'll have to see how day 3 goes. Now it is day 3 of trying yoga. I actually took yesterday off completely. I didn't do any yoga, any exercise, which is fine because there's 5 days for like a 7-day week. So today is day 3. We have 5-minute basics Cobra. Pretty excited about that. I think that's the one where you like kind of come up with your chest. So ready for some nice stretches. And then a 20-minute yoga flow, which is definitely the longest yoga flow that we've done so far. So I guess we'll just see how it goes. So let's start with the 5-minute basic Cobra. The 5-minute basic Cobra class was pretty boring. Like, it was just lifting up like this. And I feel like there were some things about having form, but you can't even just talk about that for 5 minutes. So far I just feel like the basic classes have not been worth, but then the beginner yoga flows are like very helpful in getting to know all the different moves while also still feel like you're like doing stuff and that the class is like progressing. It still makes you feel like you're doing stuff and that the class is progressing compared to these like 5-minute basic classes. I guess if you had a complicated move and you weren't sure about it, the basic classes would be good, but these are just way too easy and very slow. Now I'm going to do the 20-minute basic yoga flow class. I still don't have yoga blocks, still gonna use these board games. Maybe I'll look into ordering some yoga blocks today. I feel like they would probably be very helpful in this endeavor. But let's get started. I felt like this yoga flow class was pretty fast-paced. Lots of downward dog, which is kind of hard if you have no strength like me, so I guess that was helpful. And then I also found when she was telling us what to do, like she's very descriptive with the poses and does it with us. A lot of the times I was looking at my mat because whatever position we were doing, like that's where you were naturally supposed to be looking, but I had my iPad at the top of my mat, so I constantly had to like look up, which was definitely disruptive. I guess as you get more used to yoga, you know what they're talking about easier and like can visualize what they're saying, because I definitely found myself like trying to like look at what she was doing a lot and it would kind of mess up some of my moves. But besides that, I like this class. I really do like the yoga flows and I can see myself doing them in the future. So I am going to buy some yoga blocks today because these board games are just not cutting it. But that was the takeaway from today. I need to go buy some yoga blocks. It is now day 4. So day 4, we need to do 5-minute basics high lunge. Ooh, sounds exciting. And 10-minute restorative yoga, which will be interesting because I don't really know what I need to restore. So we'll see how this goes. It's a shorter day today. So on to the high lunges. The 5-minute high lunge basics, kind of a throwaway, but up next is 10-minute restorative yoga, and the description is we hold poses for longer amounts of times and use props to take some or all the effort out of the poses. Cultivates relaxation, calms the nervous system, and feels restored. So we'll see. I can see I need yoga blocks for this class. I did buy yoga blocks yesterday from Amazon, but because of the quarantine and just COVID in general, I'm guessing, there is a backup of yoga blocks. Everybody's trying to get into yoga, so I think I'm supposed to get those late next week, but we'll see. I was kind of hoping they'd come sooner. So I guess we're still using the board games, which is kind of gross now, but I'm not sweaty at all, which is like my saving grace of that. But let's get into it. Okay, so the restorative yoga was basically just like sleeping in different positions. I don't know if that's just because this is like a beginner class, but basically it was just like resting on your side, resting on your back, etc., which I'm not a huge fan of. Like, I feel like if I'm stressed out, I can just relax on my own. So I definitely want to do restorative yoga again, but I do like the yoga flow, but this is not for me. But I think this is the only time we have to do it in this 2 weeks, so it was nice to try. Those were the 2 classes I had to do today. Kind of a dud, but we'll see. I have high hopes for tomorrow. It's day 5 now, which is the last day of week 1. So after today, halfway through it, we have a 5-minute basics downward facing dog, which I feel like I've done a lot of in the last couple of days. So we'll see if I've been doing the form right. And then a 30-minute yoga flow, which is the longest yoga flow we've done so far. So I'm pretty excited. I think a 30-minute yoga flow will be kind of intense, but let's get on into it. The 5 minutes basics class was actually pretty helpful. He gave a lot of tips on like the form, which makes sense, and I probably wasn't doing it right before. I'm still probably not doing it right. Also, he was like a little sarcastic. He said, "Congratulations, you've done a downward dog after every time we did it," which I don't know if that was a joke or not, but I thought it was funny. It was a cool instructor. So now on to the 30-minute yoga flow. The 30-minute yoga flow was pretty cool, lots of downward dogs. I also really liked the instructor. His name was Ross Rayburn. It was the first time I took classes from him. He also taught the basics class, and I just like vibe with him. I think I'd take more classes with him in the future. So I feel like that's also a good thing about this program, is that they say you try like all the instructors out so you can kind of get a feel for who you like. Week 1 is now over for this. I think that the yoga flow classes are really cool. I'm not totally sold on the basics, unless if you really want to get the form, which is important. So I get why they have them, but they're definitely more boring than the yoga flow classes. And I'm looking forward to week 2 because there's even longer yoga flow classes, and it looks like you just do longer classes in general. It is now week 2 of this yoga program. So I took yesterday off because I had done my 5 days of week 1. This is the first day of week 2 and ready to get it. So the description of week 2 is, in week 2, you'll continue exploring poses to help build your yoga foundation. You'll also take longer yoga flow classes to get more comfortable with the pacing of your practice, and a meditation class to process all you've learned. You're now ready to flow with Peloton yoga. So that's exciting. So day 1 is 10-minute yoga flow hamstrings, which I'm pretty excited about because I run a lot. I have high hopes that this will feel really good. And then also 10-minute breathing meditation, which I've always wanted to try meditation. I feel like it's not going to be for me, but we'll see. Maybe it will be. Maybe I'll really like it. I have wanted to try it, so I'm pretty excited for today. So let's just get on in with it with this 10-minute yoga flow hamstrings. I really liked that class. It really stretched out my legs and it felt really good. The only thing is, at the beginning she was like, "Oh, you need yoga blocks," which mine are still on the way. I have my board games though, and a yoga strap, which I also do not have. But she was like, "Oh, if you don't have a yoga strap, then just use a belt off of a bathrobe," which I actually do have here. So that was pretty exciting, and this definitely like worked well. I would definitely still buy a yoga strap if I actually start taking this up a lot more, and I think it will because they're probably pretty cheap to buy. But this was definitely a better substitute for the yoga strap than the board games are for the yoga blocks. I feel like the yoga blocks are way more important than having a yoga strap. This was definitely sufficient, but that class was really good. Now I'm gonna do the 10-minute meditation. I'm actually gonna put my headphones in for this just to like block out any city noise so I can really get into it. So 10-minute meditation, let's go. I liked that meditation class with a couple of caveats. So first, I think that 10 minutes is too long. I think 5 minutes would have been good. Towards the end, I was like, oh, is this almost over? This was breathing meditation, so I thought that it was going to tell you when to inhale and exhale and kind of do it on counts, but it was definitely more just about like focusing on your breathing, whatever was happening, which I think I like more. So that definitely surpassed my expectations. I also thought it was really relaxing. I feel like it would be best to do like after a workout. Like I'm about to do a workout now and I'm very relaxed. So I feel like at the end of a workout, it could be really good. Also, I know they have sleep meditation classes, and I feel like that could also be a really cool thing to get into, to do like 5-minute sleep meditation before going to sleep, because it is very good at like clearing the mind. So overall, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, and I would definitely consider taking meditation classes in the future. And that's it for day 1, week 2. It's now the next day, so day 2 of week 2, we have a 5-minute basics triangle pose and a 20-minute yoga flow, and I've done the same exact 20-minute yoga flow, same instructor, same class, same everything on day 3 of week 1. I feel like that almost has to be a mistake because I looked it up and there's like 150 20-minute beginner yoga flows, so I'm just going to do a different one. I don't want to do the same exact class so soon, like I literally did it 1 week ago. So I'll tell you what class I pick when I get to that, but let's start with the 5-minute basics triangle. That 5-minute basic class was definitely better than the ones we did last week. It was a way more involved pose, so pretty much the entire 5 minutes was taken up by her showing us and then us doing it on both sides. So I thought that was really useful, especially because the form would be a little more difficult. I could definitely see myself taking more 5-minute basic classes for like actually difficult poses that I need help with. I feel like the cat and cow from last week was very, very simple and I didn't need 5-minute basic for that, but this one was helpful. Now I'm going to do the 20-minute yoga flow hamstrings by Kristen McGee from Thursday, December 19th, 2009 at 5:35 a.m. It's the top rated 20-minute yoga flow class for beginners, so I figure that's a good substitute. I don't know if I'll regret not doing the same class, because I guess it was on purpose that they put the same exact class from like day 3 of last week to day 2 of this week, but I don't want to do the same class again. I don't know if they want you to see improvement, but I kind of want to try something new. So I guess we'll see how this goes. I really enjoyed that class. It definitely felt a little bit harder than the ones that I've been doing, even though they're the same yoga flow beginner. I wonder if they put the easiest ones in the Welcome to Yoga like package. That would make sense, but I definitely felt like I could keep up with it. I'm not sure if I could keep up with it last week. Like I definitely feel like I've been getting better and I felt a lot more graceful in this class specifically than usual. I'm still nowhere close to being good at yoga, but before a lot of my transitions were awkward, and now I'd say only like 30% of my transitions are awkward, so improvement. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It really stretched out my hamstrings, so feeling good. And I would definitely do that class again. It was a lot of fun. Oh, and we did the triangle pose in the class I did. So I was like, I just learned this. I know what to do. So I give a 10 out of 10 for day 2, week 2. All right, it's now day 3. So up on the agenda, we have 5-minute basics plank. That'll be fun. And 20-minute yoga flow. So I guess we'll just get on started with this plank. Yeah, so if you know how to do a plank, you can probably skip the 5-minute basics plank. I guess if you want to focus on form, it would be really helpful, but I feel like I know the form for a plank. So now on to this 20-minute yoga flow. I'm excited. I want to feel stretched out. I like that yoga flow class. My only complaint is that it felt a little repetitive for 20 minutes, probably for 10 of them. We were doing like downward dog, which is like the V, and then like go into a plank and then go down completely to the mat. So like do half a push-up, basically like going down, and then just like going back up, going into plank, like going into downward dog. And we just did that so many times. I'm guessing it's because this is a beginner class, so we don't know that many moves, so she's just working with what we got. I don't know, I don't feel like I could advance to like a harder class yet, so maybe at the end of this like program I'll try a harder class. We'll see. But besides that, I thought it was really nice. I got some good stretches in. I really like the yoga flows. They're a lot of fun. I think there are different kinds of yoga on here that are not just yoga flow, but we don't do any of them in the beginners, so the yoga flow must be good for beginners, which I do like that. That's it for day 3, week 2. I took a break yesterday, so it is now day 4, feeling rest and restored. Today we have 5-minute basics bridge pose and 20-minute restorative yoga. The most exciting thing that happened though is I finally got these yoga blocks. I'm so happy I don't have to use whatever's just lying around anymore. The sad part is that the bridge pose needs the yoga blocks, which is good, but the restorative yoga doesn't. So I'm not even gonna get to use them that much today, but very excited to get them from Amazon finally. So let's just start with this 5-minute basics bridge pose. That was actually a pretty helpful class because I didn't know what the bridge pose was, so she just walked over it. There still is a lot of talking in the basics classes. For like the first 2 minutes, she just talked the entire time, and I was doing nothing, which I get. Like, I don't know if there's a faster way to learn it, and it's definitely a nice atmosphere for beginners, so it was not bad. So now we're doing the 20-minute restorative yoga, which is just like holding the poses longer and like restoring yourself. So I'm ready to be restored. We'll see how this goes. Restorative yoga is just not for me. It's very relaxing and it felt good doing it, but I didn't even feel like I got a lot of good stretches in. It was mostly just laying like on your side or on your back, and it was nice. But I definitely like yoga flow better, where I'm actually like getting a little bit of straightening and stretching in. This is the last restorative yoga that there is on this 2-week program, and I probably feel like I just won't ever do restorative yoga again. But I'm excited for the last day tomorrow, where I can hopefully use my yoga blocks more. It is the last day of this 2-week program, week 2, day 5. Today we're going to be doing 5-minute basics tree pose and then 30-minute yoga flow, which is the longest yoga flow. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And the yoga flow says that you need yoga blocks, which I'm pretty excited about now that I have legitimate yoga blocks. So after these 2 classes, I'll give my thoughts on the entire program, but let's just get these 2 classes out of the way. So here is 5 minutes basics tree pose. The 5-minute basics tree pose was definitely kind of just a waste of time. It was a very simple pose. I felt like we didn't need 5 minutes to cover it. I guess the basics are good if you need to practice these poses, but I felt like that one was simple enough that I didn't need to practice it for 5 minutes. So now on to the last class, the 30-minute yoga flow. Let's see if the last 2 weeks have accumulated to this class that I will be the yoga master. I feel like a 30-minute yoga flow beginner class is a little long because since it's beginner, there's only like limited amount of moves we can do. So at least at the beginning, I felt like it was very repetitive. I feel like 10 minutes is probably ideal for me because I like things short, but I would think 20 minutes is like the sweet spot for most people for beginners. Overall, not a bad class. It was enjoyable. Wish that we used the yoga blocks even more. My final thoughts on this entire program is, yes, I would definitely recommend somebody that is new to yoga to take these. I definitely feel like 2 weeks ago, I couldn't even really tell you what yoga was. I'd gone to some classes and just didn't really understand it. And I really enjoyed the yoga flow classes. I feel like I have learned some yoga moves. I definitely have gotten more graceful after 2 weeks, like doing some of the moves here. I was like, I could not do this 2 weeks ago. Like even going between moves, I was very clumsy and like I would like drag my feet across the floor a lot. And in this class, it didn't happen a lot. So I definitely feel like this has been a good introduction to yoga, and I kind of know where to go from here. Am I gonna do yoga 5 days a week? No. Am I going to do yoga 1 or 2 times a week? Yes. And probably mostly the yoga flow classes. Maybe eventually I can work my way to not being a beginner, but I do enjoy the yoga flow classes to stretch out and kind of feel relaxed. So I definitely see myself doing this on my off days. I will probably never do the restorative yoga again. That was definitely my least favorite. Or the meditation, I think it's just not really for me. I like to be more active. And my favorite class was definitely the chest openers yoga flow class. I'm excited to already do that class again. It felt like so good doing it and like really opened up my chest. So I'm excited to find more classes that I really love that I can go back to. But I think this was a really great introduction. I think that it's important that you have the supplies you need before you start. I wouldn't recommend using whatever yoga blocks substitutes you can find. As you can see, it wasn't that fun. And I definitely think you need a yoga mat. I already had one because I do like my HIIT workouts on this, but yeah, I would think that this would not be that fun without a yoga mat. So definitely you need a yoga mat and the blocks. Overall, this was a great experience. I'm excited to keep doing yoga. Let me know if you guys have tried Peloton yoga. Let me know if there's any classes that you've tried that you've really liked. I'm looking for recs now. And let me know if there's any other Peloton related videos you'd like me to make, because I've made quite a few now. I hope you guys are having an awesome week, staying safe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!